This had better be important.
Yes, sir. The American agent has infiltrated the X-Lab facility.
Welcome back to the Funker 530 Combat Footage Review. My name's Ronnie. I'll be your host once again. Do me a favor, tap on the like button, drop a comment in the chat to let me know where you are. We're back. I normally drink that before the stream, but I didn't have time, so here we are. What's up? All right, what do we got here? We've got Republic of Texas in the house, Greece, Oregon, West Virginia, Ukraine, hello, New Zealand, England, Louisville, Kentucky, what's up, guys? Brazil, that's interesting, SoCal, H-Town, Ronnie, what did you do? I don't know, it's probably my fault, whatever it is, it's probably my fault. And that's okay. I'm okay with that. Your mom's house. Hell yeah. Get after it, dude. Anyway. Uppers and downers. Hell yeah. Let's go ahead and get started for the evening. Again, happy Friday to you. We're back for another episode of the Combat Footage Review. I always think it's a little interesting that I start with such a banger of a song to open things up, and thanks very much to Killstreak for continuing to allow us to use their killer music, to open up the show, and then the rest of it is really, what is effectively some of the worst days of people's lives. The nuance is not lost on me, and there's a reason that we don't have a high op tempo for the stream, but we are going to talk about quite a bit tonight. I do think that we might end up with a bit shorter of a show than normal. Not necessarily for any other reason than just as I was weeding through the footage, there was some good footage. There wasn't some good footage. I pick what I think is most context heavy. But before we get into all of that, I want to thank our sponsor very much, Venture Surplus. Bet you never heard that before, but we absolutely love Venture Surplus. That same military gear that we grew up using that kept us warm when it was cold, it's the same kind of stuff that you're going to find over at Venture Surplus. One of the things they wanted me to remind you of specifically is that your code, FUNK10, also works on the warm weather gear. So we're talking the Gore-Tex parkas, we're talking the fleece. Basically, those same things that you were using to stay warm that does work, believe it or not. That 10% code is absolutely there for you guys to use that, and we are coming into colder weather, hence my warm weather gear that I'm wearing right now. So thank you very much to Venture Surplus for the discount code and for sponsoring tonight's stream. Honestly, do appreciate that just as much, if not, I mention this every time we stream, because it can be really hard to articulate what we're trying to do here. And if you make it worth it, they make it possible, right? I say that, and I know it's beating a dead horse at this point, but I'm serious. Most of our streams get demonetized based on the comment. That's not me complaining about that. That's why I continue to do it the same way, because this is the way we want to present the information. Anyway, no more dead horses. Thank you for being here. Now, let's talk about what we're going to cover tonight. We've got some interesting stuff. We will have an Around the World segment. We're going to talk about Chads or Chadians, Chads too, and their fight against Boko Haram. We're going to talk about Israel, Palestine, and Lebanon, and some interesting raids that took place recently in both Syria and in Lebanon. The raid location's less interesting, I think, than their respective targets, and even more so with the Lebanese raid. But we'll get there. We'll be starting off there. And then we'll be moving into Ukraine. Quite a bit of footage from Ukraine tonight. I hate to use phrases and words like your standard stuff, but that is really what we're going to see tonight. We're going to see some of that newer drone technology being used still to great efficacy across the battle space. We will see some vacation type stuff that does not go a vacation direction, but let's get started. I wanted to actually kind of open things up tonight and talk about apathy. And I think you'll understand what I mean when I say apathy. One of the challenges and balance that we always have here at Funker 530, and I spoke about this recently on Twitter, wrote about this, is always doing our best to articulate realities of war whilst not normalizing it, essentially balancing it. Speaking of being normalized to war, I have some footage for you.
هول ولاد الشلكة شفتوها وراي الدربة إن عن شرفهم شو بلا شرف.
I have no idea what he's saying.
بس حننتصر والله حننتصر. لك ولاد الشلكة لك هيا وراي. لك شو ولاد الشلكة لك هول يهود ولاد الشلكة شفتوها وراي الدربة إن عن شرفهم شو بلا شرف. بس حننتصر والله حننتصر.
Okay, let's come back up. I just found that one to be interesting. There'll be a couple videos. I don't know exactly where that strike takes place. We will have some context, some more context-heavy videos that I'll show as well. But I always find it interesting. There was another Ukrainian video, not unlike this one, where essentially, and I don't think we have that one set to cover, but it is on the website. I could probably pull it up, where they're walking across a field. And off in the distance, you can just hear explosion after explosion after explosion, and it brings to mind new norms or new realities that certain areas of the globe are experiencing and normalizing themselves to, whilst we sit back in comfort and discuss these with, an idealist's take, if you will. No punchline on that, just something that interested me. Let's move on to the map, actually, because I wanted to show you guys some Hamas-released footage. This is going to be Hamas recorded and released of a strike on a Merkava that the RPG gunner fires from this building, and I do believe it is in this direction in Gaza. So a little bit to like the north, if you will, near Jabalia. I would call that in Jabalia, not near Jabalia. I don't know, I'll figure all this out one day. But here comes that footage and a Dorito. Here you are.
زي الأولى.
Tandem warhead there. Anti-armor.
لسه.
Thank you for that. See, this is what I mean. Now, I wanted to talk about this one because the signature here, the signature that you're seeing is actually quite a bit different than what we normally see. You know, in a lot of this footage, we see a very large fireball, even from the RPGs, where in this instance, we have a relatively small fireball. Now, which of those two things is more indicative of a trophy intercept? I'm not certain. Given the propensity of the larger fireball that we see, I'm inclined to believe that that is a little bit more indicative. And when you watch this in full speed, it does really appear to be an impact.
لسه.
See, you know, watching that, you just get a different signature on impact there. And I've talked about that before. You know, speaking of propensities, there's a propensity to believe that because a lot of these vehicles are equipped with a trophy system of some kind that the majority of these are intercepted by the trophy, and that is most certainly not going to be the case. There are absolutely going to be some of these that make their way past the trophy system, whether that's a result of the engagement distance of the trophy, or potentially the trophy being depleted of whatever charges it is that are inside of it. I'm not certain. That to me looks like it's probably hit. Let's move on. Moving into, I don't know why this is in this section. We'll come back and get to that one if I can remember to, because I want to. It's up in Lebanon, but our Lebanon section isn't until a few more videos from now. Let's go to the map, where we're going to see some more of Hamas. No, that's not what we wanted to do, Ron. I actually don't have a geolocation for this, but I copied and pasted a link into the geolocation. But we're going to see what is effectively, anybody that was a part of GWAT, your worst nightmare. A D9 towing what looks, if I recall correctly, is a Merkava, followed by a Merkava that's in some kind of a security posture, if you will. Essentially, all three vehicles just drive over top of a seemingly not well-hidden IED. It's really difficult to understand exactly what that looks like. It almost looks like a backpack, but more than likely disguised as some form of a rock, which you can look at the surroundings and see everything else. But they drive over it until eventually it detonates. Here's the footage. Nope, it's not towing a Merkava. That's one of their personnel carriers. It starts with an N. Somebody can help me out with that. That's a Merkava, though. All right, let's bring it back up. Reading through the chat here, I also need to go through the support before we move into the Lebanon section. TX Marine, thanks very much for the 20. Thanks, Ronnie, for a great Friday evening. Hope everyone's having a wonderful evening. Hope everyone has a great weekend. Marines lead the way. Happy birthday, Marines. Ugh. Welcome to the beginning of November. Thanks very much for the $20, sir. So many dollars. Call sign Texas in Ukraine. Thanks very much from that. Hello from Ukraine. From STT channel. Looking forward to Chosen Stream with Matt and Rob. Keep doing you. Thanks very much for being here, and thank you for the $5. Jacob Budden, thank you for the $5. Bless you and the team from Colorado. Well, welcome in from Colorado, and thank you guys all for the support to the stream tonight. Let's move to the map, where I will cover the one that I thought I was going to cover a moment ago. This should take us into southwestern Lebanon. Bing bong, right there. Nailed it. We're going to see a short clip of the IDF, essentially using a rifle to presumably blow a lock, and then they kick down the door and spray some rounds inside of it. Effectively pre-firing is what it is. That footage is coming up for you guys now.
ענית, זוז. חבל לך. יאללה, בוא. חדלתי. תן בעיטה, זה אמור לי לפתח. יופי. מר! מר! רגע, תן לעבור. אני בסמד? אתה בסמד, אני מספיק.
Now, a lot of people see footage like this, you know, and I've seen this kind of as a running theme. You know, they're never shooting at anything. Well, all you're doing is you're firing at where people might be, right? As you're firing into there, you could, you know, effectively spark return fire, which would give you a better understanding of where somebody might be hiding. You know, there are... each person that I interview and discuss and talk with about this shares the same thing, that the majority of contact is just trying to find out what everybody else is shooting at. You know, feel free to defer to, you know, your favorite source for that otherwise, but I think that's an important thing when reviewing just about any footage like this. All right, let's bring it back up. Here we have, this is one of the interesting ones that I really wanted to talk about tonight, and I should have probably led with this. We're going to see footage of a raid conducted by Shahed 13. The correlation to draw with Shahed 13 would be potentially with the Navy SEALs. Shahed 13 conducted a raid into Lebanon to capture, according to the IDF, a Hezbollah militant or someone with ties to Hezbollah. We're going to watch the footage, and I'm going to tell you who it is they rolled up. Here you are. Not the bicycle guy. That guy was just getting the hell out of there. Somebody said they thought he was on rollies. He's just on a bicycle. So here you can see Shahed 13 escorting that guy right there. Now here's the deal. This is actually Imad Ahmaz. Amhaz. I'm not 100% certain how to pronounce that, but the deal with him is this is a Lebanese naval officer. I don't mean a Hezbollah naval officer. I mean a Lebanese naval officer. A couple things come to mind with that. Now, I'm not here to tell you that there's a big deal or there isn't one, because I think there's still some information that is an outlier for me on this. From the first perspective, the big deal is that Israel is rolling up a naval officer from a UN, whether you believe in the UN or not, just hear me out, recognized nation. Lebanon, a Lebanese naval officer. The second big deal is that, and these might be things that everybody knows already, but this kind of reinforces it, is that the Lebanese military is absolutely compromised by Hezbollah. So again, this is a relatively high-ranking Lebanese naval officer that Israel just kind of rolled into Lebanon and extracted out of there. I have no idea whether Lebanon military or government was in the know or a part of this raid or extraction, whatever you want to call it. But there's an interesting precedent that sets. Okay, let's bring it back up. We are moving into some Hezbollah-released footage of rocket launches, specifically of the Iranian Noor rocket. It's always difficult to understand because of the general low production cost of, you know, most of these rocket systems and mortar systems that are used, is whether or not they are Iranian produced or just Iranian funded and designed and then Hezbollah produced later on. Anyway, these are effectively Iranian Noor rockets being used to target Israel. Well, there's another thing I wanted to go back and talk about related to that Lebanon raid. Just another outlier and a potential. Something you can't discount. Bum, 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 bum. Let's come back up and let's circle back for a second to the Lebanese raid. There's always the possibility that what they are actually doing is extracting somebody that had provided value back to the IDF. So it still would not discount the possibility and likelihood that the Lebanese military is compromised. But say, for instance, and I think this is kind of a general consensus, one of those universal truths, that Israel has agents across the globe, right? So does the United States, so does Russia. You know, this is something that you do, is you get placement and access in as many places as possible. But say, for instance, that dude is being extracted to protect him. I don't know. Just something to think about. I'm not here to sell you on any of it. The first of two of these that we're going to see tonight. Moving on to our next video. One thing that might seem like it shouldn't be that common is actually more common than you think. Rollover, rollover, rollover. This is a Merkava, somewhere in Lebanon, kind of falling off the side of the road and rolling over. Now, it's important to note that this might seem, kind of dorky and funny when you look at it here. The military actually spends an inordinate amount of time and money specifically training people for rollovers. Those of you that know. I can't tell you, I can't count the amount of times I have been in a rollover simulator. In fact, anecdote, my first sergeant rolled one of our non-tactical vehicles while on mission and wasn't allowed to drive for the rest of our entire deployment. It happens much more than you might think, primarily in tactical vehicles. That's one of the reasons that the situational awareness type models are so coveted, because they provide additional awareness as to where you are in time and space. This Merkava went a little bit off the side of the road, flipped over onto its back like a turtle. I hope the dudes are all right, though. Whoops. Coming up. We're just reading through the chat a little bit here. Rollover drills. Yep. Guy can't park there. Let me check in on the support. We've got more. I'll jump over to the support once we've finished with the... that's disappointing. Once we're finished with this stuff in Lebanon here, we're going to move to some Apache footage. We're going to see the 30mm autocannon being used to shoot down a Hezbollah drone. This one's interesting. Here you are. A couple different angles here. This angle kind of made me a little sick last time I saw it. It's like sideways and it made me want to turn my head. So the specific munition that you're looking at here is the M230. The M230 is the 30mm autocannon on the front of the AH-64. I think the Israeli Apache might have a different designator, but it's an Apache. And it fires at something like 600 to plus rounds per minute. I think I wrote it 600 to 650 rounds per minute. And they shot it out of the sky. You can actually see it impact on the ground right down here. So here's the impact area after they shoot it here. Yep. All right. Bring it back up. Let's move on to one of the last bits of footage that I have here for Israel, Lebanon, Palestine, the Near East, if you will. This is another, and we talked about this last week. We talked about the amount of controlled debt that's happening in southern Lebanon right now, essentially south of the blue line, blue line being the UNIFIL demarcation line, if you will, where Hezbollah was supposed to be above it, and then they just weren't forever. But anyway, between the blue line and the border of Israel, where Hezbollah was not supposed to be, the amount of controlled demolition that's taking place of effectively entire city blocks in certain circumstances. We're going to see exactly one of those again. We watched quite a bit of that. And what this, boils down to is the use of infrastructure to hide large Hezbollah munitions like almost tactical ballistic missiles. We've seen footage evidence of that from the IDF. So when you see footage like this, you use footage like the previous that has been published showcasing some of that infrastructure being used as a little bit contextual. Anyway, here is the footage of a controlled det, and not a small one. Are you guys arguing about suppressors? Suppressors are nothing more than hearing devices to make it quieter so that I don't damage my hearing any further than I already have. And we've already talked about this, the NFA's bullshit. So there's that as well. Woof. All right. Coming back up. They should be widely available. Yeah, you should be able to pick up suppressors at like the hardware store. There's absolutely zero reason that they should be registered as NFA firearms. That's fun and ridiculous. Let's stop for a minute and check in on the support, and thank you guys very much for it. House of Bees, thanks for the $2. Have we seen any RPG 32 versus trophy systems? That one would be hard to say specifically. One of the things that's always going to be a challenge is to understand, without truly understanding the signature of what a trophy looks like when it deploys. We've seen only a couple videos where it's very, very clear that the trophy opens up and the video feed to whatever, optically monitored ATGM we're watching cuts out. We've seen a couple of those. But what we haven't really seen is, and what me personally, just always being honest about where my knowledge base, where my left and right knowledge lands. I don't know exactly what the signature of a trophy looks like. I mean, you can draw you can draw some level of a conclusion on if the explosion is away from the vehicle or not, but it's somewhat negligible when you're looking at it real time in a 540p video, right? So to tie it back specifically to things like a specific weapon system versus a specific defensive mechanism, that would be difficult to do. But thank you very much for the $2. I appreciate that. NTX Marine, thank you again for the 20. Martin Phillip, welcome to the crew. Q-Ball, thank you for the 3 at the Funker level. Appreciate that. Members, thank you guys. That's huge. Like, the stream's free, folks. So thank you. Call sign Texas in Ukraine. Thank you for becoming a member. Welcome. Welcome to the supporter level. Appreciate that. And let's move into our Around the World segment. I was going to save this for the last video, but I have a better one. This is basically how I feel about the Second Amendment, though. I just want you to know that. I don't find that to be political. I'm sorry if you don't have a Second Amendment. Here you go. This is basically, Josh, myself, Will. What you're actually looking at here is Sudan. So these guys, I don't know who they're with. They could just basically be just a bunch of dudes with guns I don't know, but they are supposedly firing at the Rapid Support Forces, which is currently battling with the Sudanese armed forces. There's a chance that these are Sudanese armed forces. Don't get me wrong, dude. Like from a uniform perspective, I don't think many people are really enforcing the uniform standard for the Sudanese armed forces. But anyway, that's the actual context to this video. Sudan. Well, let's move on. I want to talk about Chadians. In Chad, the fight against Boko Haram continues. What we're going to see is a Chadian pilot here piloting his Su-25 against Boko Haram. Keeping the sound off there. I'll play the beginning of it. All right, let's bring it up. And we've got some more Chadians here with more strikes against Boko Haram. I don't want to listen to that. Sorry, late to the stream. You guys up to speed on what happened in Amsterdam? To the extent I can be, yes. I don't have any of that footage set aside tonight. Happy to talk about it, though. Look at all those boats. That must be the Boko Haram Navy. All the canoes. Reminds me of the Chinese Navy. We have more boats than you. Okay. JG Wentworth. Thanks for hitting the support button. Member button. Sorry. All right, let's come back up, and we're still working on our Around the World segment, but we're actually going to do a reverse and go back to talking about the IDF. We're going to Syria, where the IDF conducted another raid. This time it was on what was apparently some dude that was conducting surveillance on behalf of Iran of the border with Syria. There's a raid that they conducted, and I've got more info for you as soon as we start watching it. In Syria, the IDF conducting another raid. So this dude's name is Ali Suleiman al-Asi. And again, supposedly was conducting some kind of surveillance of the border, presumably on behalf of Iran. The border specifically being the border between Syria and Israel. All right, let's bring it up. All right. We are going to be moving into our Ukraine section, and we're actually going to be starting in Russia tonight. And we're gonna be starting in the Caspian Sea, which is somewhere where I don't think that we've covered any footage from before. But let me give you some geolocation on this. We're headed here. Not close. Somewhere between 1,000 and 1,500 kilometers from the Ukrainian border, from the forward line of troops. all the way out this way. So what you see here is supposedly an impact area. Now, Ukraine said that they damaged a couple warships with this impact. And I'm going to have to double check this impact area to ensure that I wrote it down correctly. That way I'm not giving you some bad information. But I think the pertinent thing to understand is that Ukraine rubber banded what is effectively a Cessna, loaded down with explosives, all the way across the rest of Ukraine through Russia at absolute smell speed. The speed of smell. I am not kidding when I say that. This is the slowest moving aircraft I've ever seen in my life. And it impacted that spot. Here is the footage. In the meantime, I'm going to go double check that geolocation. That's moving at fart speed right now. You could die of thirst waiting for this to hit its target. I do have the geolocation wrong. I'll hook you guys up with another. Cessna 152. It's actually an A22 Foxbat, according to the information that I have. It's still going. Look at how slow that is. Listen. Listen carefully, though. So what you're hearing is like small arms, like AK fire in the background. I'm going to turn this up. You're going to get a lot of wind noise. Protect your ears, headphone warning. But listen carefully. And then impact. Now, what's interesting, though, is Russians reported that was shot down. And that's largely because they did shoot down another. Here is the footage of the one that they shot down. They did not shoot that one down. They shot that one down. Oh, you can't see that. I'll get good at this one of these days. So this is one of those examples, right, where technically the truth is that Russia shot down a drone as it entered, what's this area called? Caspisk. It's in, what is that, Dagestan? Anyway, Russia shot down a A-22 Foxbat. That's what that was. However, one of them absolutely made its way home. Once again, moving at fart speed. I don't know how to describe that any other way. It sounds like there might have been quite a bit of wind, so from a lift perspective, it was able to stay, But when you think about that from an anti-air perspective, there are warships in that location, and Russia is actively waging a war somewhere else. Where's all their anti-air? Let's take a look at a few other perspectives of that, because I have one that actually shows relatively close where the one that landed, just landed at high speed, where that hit. Let's move to that footage. Here you are. That one's not even that good. We're gonna skip that one. I think it's this one. Oh, yeah. This shows its actual impact point, not where I showed you. So I had this geolocation, which was for, just for clarity, for the one that was shot out of the sky. The one that impacted here. And we're about to watch that now. Footage is coming up for you now. Whoop, whoop. There it is. When I reviewed this footage, I didn't have the sound on, so I had no idea that was part of it. I swear. That might become the new like subscriber sound. I've had alert sounds off on this stream since like the first month of doing the stream, but I might bring them back just so I can have that sound in there. So according to Ukraine, two warships were damaged here. It's kind of difficult to tell exactly where in that grouping of ships this landed, but it definitely did land in those spots. So, foremost, I apologize for giving you the other geolocation. I had the geolocation written down for the one that was shot out of the sky, which is also a truth. It's interesting how with each of these truths alone, we can end up with very different perspectives of what happened. Something to think about. Let's move on. We are moving to Kursk. This is contextual footage, and I wanted to share with you that the snows have arrived. Here's what Kursk looks like right now. All right, let's come back up. Some more contextual footage. These are Ukrainians in Kursk with some of their equipment, and it's just very, very clear footage. And I believe these would be, wow, words are hard tonight, MTLBs, just to show you kind of what the netting type that they've got over them. Oftentimes we get kind of enveloped with combat footage. This is the combat footage review show. That's terrible branding, but that's what it is. So action, I don't mean that in the word action, but I mean actions on objective is typically what we are trying to review. Sometimes, though, it's helpful to get a little bit deeper context. These are Ukrainians in Kursk in a column of MTLB's very clear footage for you. All right, let's bring it up. Nemesis 1776 FAFO out, I think. I don't know. There's a lot going on there, but thank you very much for the 5. Appreciate that. Stream's free. Once again, no need to send in things like that, but it's very much so appreciated. Speak the Truthers in the house tonight. Well, welcome in, folks. Bananas up. That's fun. I almost said it was something way worse. Trouble Axel, thank you for the $2. JG Wentworth, thank you for the $10. Back in 1775, my Marine Corps came alive. Oh, God. I'll read it. First there came the color gold to show the world that we are bold. Then came the color red to show the world the blood we shed. Semper Fidelis. Happy birthday, Marine. Oof. This one is interesting. I want to talk a little bit about what I believe to be exemplary of complacency. I'll explain that. And I don't mean complacency in necessarily a bad thing, as in, you were sleeping on the job. I mean the normalization of some of the new capabilities that are absolutely terrifying. Here's the footage. Okay, so let's talk about what I meant by complacency. So this is a Russian FPV drone, probably operated by one of those fiber optic cables, and it is targeting a Bradley. That's a Bradley tank right there in front, and Ukrainians just kind of wandering around it. What's interesting is none of them appear to be concerned that it's there. It's not 100% silent, and I'm wondering whether or not that has something to do with general complacency because maybe they have a drone operator attached to them. I'm not entirely certain, but for the drone to be able to get in and that close to the Bradley with no apparent concern from the infantry or dismounts that are around it, I can't help but think of another explanation for it. I'm interested in your thoughts. It's a fake? Why would you fake this? So that actually opens this up for an interesting conversation. I talked about this recently on Twitter as well. What would the benefit be to Ukraine faking this, first of all? And then what would the benefit be to Russia faking this? In each example, potentially, the only one that would benefit from that is Russia. So there is some possibility that it's a captured Bradley and that they're all posers around the Bradley. But there's nothing that would lead me to believe that that was the case. It's a fly on the camera? Yeah, it's because we're watching a recording of a screen. Yeah. So we're watching a recording of a guy recording with his phone. That's why the fly is on the camera. Is a Bradley loud? A little bit, yeah. That could have masked the sound of the FPV, I suppose. Certainly. Entirely plausible to be real? Yeah, that's kind of my point. Certainly. Yeah. Okay, let's come back up. Feel free to keep talking about it. We've got some Russian strikes here. These take place at this location. That might be a poor geolocation. I'm just failing you guys on geolocations tonight, I think. Maybe it is an accurate location, a geolocation. The reason I think that that's a weird one is because this is reported to be a strike on a, quote, Ukrainian command post. I think you'll find that just about anything can be a command post. You can make the argument that a squad leader and where he is holed up with his squad is a, quote, command post. I would always take those words with some grain of salt. Here's the footage. All right. Now, this was reported to be a UMPK. So, again, we've talked about that before. So, in the United States, we have the JDAM kits that effectively turn a dumb bomb into, something of a smart bomb, allow it to glide into its target with a little bit of guidance. This is supposedly a UMPK, and it read 250. That seems like it's a good size explosion to be one of the smaller fab munitions outfitted with the UMPK. I don't know. I'm no BDA expert though. Let's move on. We have a very large Russian column. I want to say this is something like 8 vehicles that ends up getting effectively stopped and turned around by more or less FPV drones, potentially some mortars in here as well. This is around Seversk. I do have some geolocations. Let's actually go through those first. Hopefully I nailed these because the rest of my geolocations tonight have been just absolute garbage. The first location that we're going to be that I'm going to show you is the start of the convoy, the general start. So the earliest geolocation of a video here. The next location is going to be the end, the last geolocation. Not necessarily in order, but in distance. Here. Okay, so from a total length, the video that we're about to watch, if I recall where the last one was, somewhere down here, takes up about 3 kilometers, worth of area. And here comes the footage. I should have given you a discretion advised for it. I didn't write it in my notes to do so, and I'm too stupid to remember that. So I apologize. I have no idea what that says. All right, coming up. It's so cute when Ronnie calls munitions fab. How do you say it? I mean, everybody knows that pronunciation is my strong suit. It's something I just know that I'm very good at. And thank you very much for the $5, sir. Luis Valenzuela. I nailed that one, though. Thank you for the $2 very much. Appreciate that. And then JG Wentworth, thank you again for the $10. Thank you, guys. Thank you all. We've got some footage of Leopard tanks, probably 2A5, 2A6s, something like that. I rode in a 1A5. That was a lot of fun. Some Leopard tanks. This is in Donetsk. Exactly where, I don't have a great geolocation. I feel like there's probably a geolocation floating around out there, but I wasn't able to find it in any short order. And like I've talked about before, I can't really focus very heavily on any one individual clip, given that we cover so many different conflicts and bits of footage here on the show. But here are Leopard 2A5s, 2A6s, something along those lines, engaging Russian positions. Tank. There is probably sound to this. Yep. That was cool. Oh. Choked on my own spit. All right, coming back up. We're going to be moving into Torsky for just one video here. Discretion advised on this one. Might be tough to watch, but it is ultimately one of those realities. It does show in the context. So let's slow down. Let's reel it in for a second and talk about why we're going to cover this. I always have a preference of showing actions on objective. You know, whether that be direct contact or artillery strikes, new drone technology, things along those lines. But what's also important to cover are things like Medevac strategy to see for the context around what medical evacuations look like. That's what we're going to see here in Torsky. We're going to see Ukrainians conducting a Medevac using an M113 armored personnel carrier. Coming up for you now. Ronnie, did you see a Russian general got killed by an FPV drone while riding a motorcycle near the front line? Well, that seems stupid to have done that. All right, let's bring it back up. Okay. On the Pokrovsk front, and this is near, I don't know why I don't have, once again, the geolocation is just killing me here tonight, guys, and I apologize for it. It does have a geolocation, but for some reason it's just not, it's not written down. This is Ilinka, which is on the southern end of, well, we might not be looking at that one. Give me a second, talk amongst yourselves. Let me see if I can go grab that one. I know where it is. I need to have like a be right back screen or something. Just something to like occupy your time so that I can cover down on my ass when I fail. Really bad. Stand by one here. See if I can find it. Give me a second. So, yep, got that one. Nailed it. Yep. This is a Ukrainian tank banging on Russian positions, danger close, in Ilinka on the southern edge of Pokrovsk. Oh, thank you for that, Kevin. That'll be great additional context. Ronnie, that hoodie is fire. What is it? This is from Terra Arma. Good friends of ours over at Terra Arma. We don't have any official relationship with them, but I met them a little while back, and it is quite honestly, it's not a hoodie. It is a soft shell layer, and it is the best one you will ever buy. Yes, it is not going to be cheap. They had a special going on at an event I was at where you could spin a wheel. And, you know, if it landed on a discount area, you got to purchase one at a discount. Well, mine landed on having to do 50 push-ups for something like 30% discount, and I knocked those out and got it about 30% off. That said, I bought a second one at full price because once I got this one home, it's fantastic. Again, I don't make any money when you go buy some from Terra Arma, but I absolutely love this soft shell. I wore this up. And you guys will start seeing some of this footage in the pre-show trailers. I wore this up on top of the Rockies by itself. It's fantastic, man. You know, shout out to Terra Arma if somehow they end up seeing this. I love you. Witness me. Let's move on. Let's move to Kherson. This is what is going to take place here. And I feel like this jet ski vacation didn't end up panning out roundabouts here. Right. Well, the strike's going to happen here, but we're going to see Russian on a jet ski kind of barreling down this way. And anyway, I just feel like this did not go the way you expected when you loaded up the jet ski for a weekend out on the water. Here you are. I like zippered hoodies, though. If I'm not mistaken, they have a zipper version, but if you prefer zippered hoodies, don't buy this one. Don't know what to tell you, brother. It wasn't made in the USA. They are now. Courtney, you've been spicy tonight. Everything all right? Let's move on. Got some more footage of a Leopard 2A6 here. This is, again, a Leopard 2A6 that has been abandoned and is being destroyed effectively by FPV drones. Don't have a great location. We are in our general section now. So you see blowout panels working there. I think, so somebody correct me, but that looked, at least initially, like blowout panels. I don't have a great understanding of where those are, if they are on the Leopard. The Leopard is not a specialty of mine, guys. But the specific spot that looks like it is this. That reminds me a lot of Abrams blowout panels. Again, it doesn't matter one way or another. This is supposedly and reportedly an abandoned Leopard. Nope, it cooked off. It's the commander's hatch. Okay, interesting. Yeah, I'm always learning, guys. I've said it, 100,000 times. I give you my understanding. If my understanding is wrong, I am more than happy to be corrected in any circumstance, unless it's an opinion. Because, then it's just my opinion. I'm not trying to present facts at that point. I'm just trying to give you how I feel about them. Let's move on. But that was not me giving you an opinion. That was my understanding. So thank you for correcting me. I told you I was going to show you this twice. Rollover, rollover, rollover. So, here's the thing. Somebody said that this was because of an FPV drone. I think he was trying to Dukes of Hazzard slide it. This is a UAZ, I think it is. I think I see him grab the e-brake and crank it. I think he's trying to drift it. I'm just being honest. Let's watch. He tried to Dukes of Hazzard that thing. That's what he tried to do. But it worked, sort of. He did slide and then flip. Rollover, rollover, rollover. Bliat. We have more of those Russian fiber optic drones, causing all sorts of mayhem. This one is chasing down and striking a Ukrainian BMP. Gonna hit right on the back of that hatch there. Let's bring it back up. All right. He 100% tried to drift it. Yeah, he did. He grabbed the e-brake, bro. Yeah, he's not trying. He's trying to be cute with his boys in the car. And now one of them probably has a broken leg. Speaking of trying to be cute, I don't know what these dudes were trying to do, but I give you the literal worst motocross riders I've ever seen. Whoops. I bet that hurt, bro. Think about that. He's loaded down with gear. I'm pretty sure that's a spade shovel. These are Russians. Oh, what are you doing? Oof. I'm surprised he got up, dude. I'm trying to figure out what that is that caused him to do that. Was it just an obstacle, or did he get the wobbles? Oh, man. His bag fell off. One more time, full speed. So, because I mean, look, this log and stuff has to have had something to do with it. Don't overrun your headlights. Oh, this one's cool. Nighttime. In the air, it's a MiG-29, a Ukrainian MiG-29, firing an R-73 missile to shoot down a Shahed drone. I can't deny. Matt, thank you very much for the 5. What hoodie is that? This is from Terra Arma. Mosen, thanks very much for having the link for that ready. We have no relationship with Terra Arma, but I love it very much. As the winter progresses on, you'll see me basically only wearing this throughout the entire winter. All right, let's a little bit of an update on North Koreans. Now, I've seen multiple geolocations for this. I've seen that it is along the front line with Ukraine. I've seen that it's at a training ground somewhere in Russia. I don't know where it is. I'm just letting you know that there are North Koreans now on video at a minimum training with Russians. Okay? That's all I'm letting you know. Here you are. They're so small. Look at this guy. Look at this guy. I'm going to see what kind of kit they're running there. What is that, an AK-12 that he's got? I think it's an AK-12 here. Yeah, that's what malnourishment gets you. Don't grow as big. Don't grow as big and tall. Let's move on. This one was interesting. This is actually the last footage that I have before I always have one more video for you. So let's check this out. So drone technology still does absolutely fascinate me. I still do think that there are larger conversations to be had than drones are the future, right? I think we're actually probably seeing the high point of the efficacy of small UAS, small unmanned aerial systems. I think at some point there will be mitigation broad scale that makes the current efficacy that we see, the effectiveness, lower, much exponentially lower. However, I think it's fun to see fish nets being used to catch them out of the sky. That's cool. This is a Ukrainian drone fishing for a Russian drone. Boop. Free drone there. Now, actually, let's talk about this from a technical intelligence perspective. So most people don't know what the word technical intelligence means, and it is the process of capturing, analyzing, and reverse engineering enemy materiel. What you can get from that drone are oftentimes going to be pre-saved grid coordinates, a history of where it's been, frequencies that it's operating on. There's actually quite a bit of information that you can then derive from that if you're able to recover it. Presumably, because that drone, the Russian drone that just got caught in the fishnet there, is flying right now, I would assume that it's flying somewhere near or at least close to Ukrainian positions where it is possible for it to be recovered. That, of course, is a two-way street. A Ukrainian drone that gets taken down by electronic warfare or fishing net means can also itself be reverse engineered. There is, shout out to my friends over at Vet TV. They have a really great series that's out right now where they embedded with units like the 3rd Assault Brigade and Chosen Company and got an inside scoop look at some of the more advanced drone capabilities that you don't really get a whole lot of insight on. Folks over there, I thought it was great. I had the chance to review that ahead of it going live, and a lot of good additional insight there. Let me pause for a minute and check the support, and thank you guys very much for it again. JG Wentworth, thank you for the 10. Chat with Green text has big PP. Huh? Oh, because it highlights your... That's funny. Matt, thank you for the $5. What hoodie is that? Terra Arma. Once again, it's on the thing here. Yep. John, thank you again for the 5. Did Russia have the fiber optic drones before the war, or are they a product of the 2022 invasion? It seems like those are an evolution sometime after the invasion. Now, the initial portions of the war, we didn't see as much. We saw the increased use of drones throughout the war to what we see now, which, to be honest with you, it's kind of difficult at times to find footage that isn't FPV drones. Each time I think I found something cool that says, like, sympathetic detonation of a tank, it's filmed by some Russian Orlan drone from 10,000 feet, and it's 122 pixels worth of video. I think that was an evolution. I don't mean to be not 100% certain about that. It's hard to know what technologies were available to Russia prior to the war. I can tell you for 100% certainty that we didn't start to see footage of their use until this year. So, and thank you again for that 5. Matt, thank you for the $5. Welcome Edgy American Blades to the Funkers as a member. Appreciate that. Jonathan Smith, thank you for the $5. Been a while, sadly, to see some people are having FUBAR and getting it record. I don't even know what that means. Imagine this being shown at their funerals. Either way, welcome to Costco. Yeah, thank you very much for the 5. Thank you for that. JG Wentworth, thank you for the $5. I'm not reading that one. It says happy birthday. I make myself laugh more than I make anybody else laugh. Velox, thank you for the 9 months. Appreciate that. And then John, thank you again for the $5. Folks, that's going to probably be just about it. I always have one more video, though. You got to watch this one. But I do want to thank you, first and foremost, and always most importantly, for being here. but also our sponsor tonight, Venture Surplus. We've talked a lot about my hoodie tonight. Yes, it is a great hoodie, but if you are on the hunt for military surplus cold weather gear, whether it be the Gore-Tex, again, or the fleeces, watch caps, whatever it is that you're on the hunt for, make sure to use the code FUNK10 when you purchase that stuff from Venture Surplus. They have a rotating stock over there. That means that what's in stock today isn't necessarily going to be in stock tomorrow, right? They're not manufacturing this stuff. It's actual military issued gear. I don't know how they got a hold of it. If it fell off the back of the truck and they're now selling it, that's not my problem. It's not yours either. And that's what makes you able to go and buy it from Venture Surplus. That code is FUNK10. I want to say, yeah, I nailed it right here. I'll tickle it for you. Right there. One more video for you tonight. And I would like for you guys to all have a safe weekend. Have fun. And remember, the first rule of firearm safety is to have fun. Anyway, I'll see you on the follow-up stream. Enjoy this. Good night and stay informed.
Открой туда. Открой туда. Открой туда.
Good night.